Hi there, my name is Anna and I'm the artist behind the Red Fox Art Dolls. This December I will be coming to Orlando and teaching a class on kit modifications at the Joffrey doll show. My specialty are fantasy babies with fairly extensive modifications to the kit. However, the skills can be transferred to other things like repairing kit or making birth defects in your nails, really anything that you may. Joining us will be a good friend of mine and a talented prototype artist, Marie Nord Lindblom, and she will be assisting me with teaching the course. If you find any of this information interesting, I really hope that you will sign up for the course and that I will see you all there. Bye bye.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? We are so excited to have you here in today's class, isn't it?
Yes, por favor comenten de dónde nos están viendo, qué horario es allá donde están.
Yes, please comment where you're from, what time is it, where you are, in which part of the world you are. Okay? Please comment. We love to see your comments at the chat. The chat.
Ok.
Okay.
Hi, hello. Ok, hoy estamos muy emocionados porque viene a conectarse con nosotros una artista muy, muy especial. Se llama Anastasia Ball y va a conectarse desde Suecia.
Wow.
Impresionante. Y
Yes.
va a dar una clase especial viniendo del otro lado del mundo a Orlando, Florida. Eso está impresionante. Muchas gracias, Anastasia, por ese esfuerzo. Y también va a estar su amiga en las clases presenciales asistiendo en la clase, su amiga Marie Lindblom.
Okay. Today we are very excited because today we are going to have a very special guest. She is very talented. She comes from Sweden and she comes all the way to Orlando, Florida to the Joe Fiddle show.
For the first time.
Yes, we appreciate it very much. And she's very talented and I want you to see all her creations. She is so amazing because she transformed a
A
vinyl kit to
One of a
a
kind.
dragon or to a octopus. She's very talented. I'm very excited to see it. What she's doing for us today.
Ok, pues
So,
ahorita la vamos a presentar.
all
Ya está
right.
lista y los dejamos con ella, pero vamos a
Okay.
ponerla.
So, are you ready?
Bienvenida,
Hey,
bienvenida,
please
Hi.
Anastasia.
welcome, Anastasia.
Hi, thank you.
Hello, how
Thank
are
you for having me. Where did you
How are
guys
you
go?
doing? It's so excited to have you here. Thank you
It's
for
good to be
joining us
here.
today. And let's jump right into your class.
Right.
So excited. Let's
We
see.
did have a little bit of an
Disfruten
issue.
este momento y nos vemos al rato.
Please enjoy, okay? And ask all your questions to Anastasia because she has a wonderful class.
Bye.
We had a bit of an issue with the presentation. Did you guys get it? Lorraine, did you get the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay.
I put in the in your demo. Okay.
In my demo?
Yeah.
Right. So I was
And-
thinking if I start with that a little bit, if that's
Okay.
all right with you guys, and then I will move on to the actual presentation. That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Oh, there's some comments. Hi. I'm hopefully the presentation is coming up shortly. Otherwise, I could maybe start it from here. Yeah, hi. My name is Anna, and I am I'm an alternative artist from Sweden. I've been doing this for 2-3 years now, and I never planned to do fantasy dolls. That kind of happened by accident when I ruined a realistic baby, and then I had to figure out ways to try and fix it. And that was before I knew anything about polymer clay or modifying kits or anything like that. So initially, I started with I took a soldering iron and I cut off the ears on the baby. I was making a fox. Hi, Brandy. So I was making a fox, and I took a soldering iron to the kit because I was trying to smooth out where the human ears had been, and then I made these felt ears for the fox. And then I struggled with trying to get them onto the actual head so that they're sitting flush. But luckily, not long after that, I started looking into clay and learning all about that. And I don't know why, but for some reason there aren't that many, if any, tutorials on kit modification. I mean, a lot of artists do it, but the only tutorial that I could find was from it was a pretty old one, and the lady didn't actually show how she was doing the modifications. She just told the basic steps that she took. Hi. Oh my god, this is really exciting. I'm so happy that there are people actually watching this. Okay, so I started looking into clays, and oh, there we go. Can everyone see this presentation? Yes, fantastic. Thank you. Right, so I started looking into different clays, and I mean, there's a good amount of different clays, but none of them were really suited for modifying vinyl dolls because vinyl is squishy, right? Polymer clay generally is not. So what happens is that once you put the hard clay on top of the kit, and then something squishes, or basically the clay either pops off or breaks because it can't squish with the actual doll. So luckily there was a solution, obviously, otherwise we wouldn't be here. But the clay that eventually ended up working after some troubleshooting and all of that. Sorry, it's an old package, but it's this one. It's called Cos Clay. This Cos Clay, it says Cos Clay doll, and it's a soft clay. It has its place, but it's absolutely not my favorite clay to work with. But what happens with this clay, and it actually comes in a few different colors. The doll series has, I think, 3 or 4 different skin tones. Thank you so much. Right, so it comes, I think, in around 3 or 4 different colors, and what happens is that after you bake it, it actually remains flexible. Now, it's not as flexible as, say, vinyl, right? Vinyl is squishy. However, it is flexible enough to be able to create a good bond between the clay and the vinyl. And when you flex, nothing happens. It even if it's just a slight flex, it flexes with the vinyl. So it doesn't actually crack. And it adheres to the vinyl really, really well. Obviously that, there are some steps and some know-how to be able to work it, but that's why we're here. So I wanted to perhaps start with showing a little bit about what the class at the Yofidol show is going to include. It's a fairly free plan. So my hope is that I can sort of give the initial information that you need to be able to work with the clay, to be able to do with the everything that you want. And then after that, I'm there in a supportive role to answer questions, to show how to achieve certain things. If someone wanted to learn a specific modification, for example, doing pointy ears, that's not a problem. However, if someone came with a ready idea of, I want to create a harpy or a dragon or such, we would then be able to sort of go through over the planning. So if we look at the, gosh, how do I make the slides bigger? I don't think, can people read what is on the slides? Right, maybe. All right, so right, nevertheless, so the classes will be from 2nd to 5th of December at Orlando. It's my first time coming to US, which is really, really exciting. I can't wait. It's like, it's the thing of the year for me, coming from Sweden. Mainly, we will be focusing, so you have an option of taking a 2-day class or a 4-day class. With a 2-day class, it would be just some basics and something simpler that you actually have time to learn all the information and then try your hand at it. With a 4-day class, 4-day class, you could go for something a bit more like an entire doll with a concept type of thing. But we will be going over some basics when it comes to working with clay. And that would be, how you actually, like, you need, when you start sculpting, you have to condition the clay. And, how to cure the clay, how to make sure that it's durable, and how to smooth it out, and all of that good stuff. Some basic sculpting techniques. Nothing fancy, nothing that requires any prerequisite knowledge, but just to get you started with things. Then the second main thing is planning a project, because believe it or not, how good your product will look in the end has less to do with how good you are with your hands and a lot more to do with how good your planning is. Because sometimes I get this feeling that people think that I just do something very, very special with my hands. That's not entirely the case. The case is that when you are sculpting on top of vinyl, what you have is you have one material that is really soft and squishy, then you have a second material that goes on top of this squishiness, and you can't blend them together. Like, there is no getting around it. Whatever you do, there is going to be a seam, right? And if you want to have a really nice good looking doll, you would like to avoid having any visible seams. And that's where the planning comes in. Basically, trying to hide, using different techniques, trying to hide these seams so that the end product looks like it has always been that way. You want to be able to look at a doll and think that it was probably made this way, right? You don't want to see any rough transitions between the clay and the vinyl. And ideally, it should look like it has always been this way, right? So that is a big part actually of the class, and the process is tricking the eye into thinking that you bought the kit like this and just painted it. Lastly, we're going to be looking at specifically sculpting onto vinyl. And that, first and foremost, includes some safety precautions. I mean, we will be heating vinyl kits in an oven, right? It's hot. It may or may not release certain things into the air. So all of that needs to be taken into account for it to be safe. Then probably the biggest issue, and this is something, thank you so much. This is something that everyone that paints has at one or another point come across, is adhesion, right? You will be painting your kit and all of a sudden nothing is adhering and paint is coming off. You get the same problem with the clay, unfortunately. So you just need to know how to work it. And so that is a pretty big thing. Then also more on making the transitions between vinyl and clay seamless, or appear seamless. There is a seam, but you're not supposed to be able to see it immediately and think, oh, you know. Then another thing is when you heat vinyl, and now we would be heating it to temperatures that are higher than your usual heat set paint temperatures. What happens is vinyl gets soft. I'm sure you guys have heard of this. Now, depending on how long you're going to be heating it for, it can get really, really soft. And the clay is much heavier than the vinyl, which can lead to vinyl sagging, tearing, basically clay just pulling down on this really, really soft thing. And in the worst case scenario, it has happened to me where I forgot to take precautions and a head was completely ripped into shreds by some horns on top. Now, I did fix it in the end, but that just creates extra work that is often unnecessary. So avoiding that. And then finally, if it does happen, how to fix it, how to basically save your kit. Now, it's worth mentioning that I do not recommend anyone to work with expensive kits. In fact, for several reasons, I really love working with Bountiful baby kits because, you know, you can often get them on sale. And I don't have to feel guilty about covering up another sculptor's work. That's never like, you know, the first thing I want to do. Ooh, let's improve someone else's work. But yeah, so that's the basic stuff that is going to be happening in Orlando. Hopefully, if you're interested, you can sign up. You can pay down the deposit now, and then we can agree on a payment plan. However, I must say that you guys need to hurry because it's a little bit up in the air, the entire thing, and I need to see how many students are going to be joining. and I will be needing to order some supplies and clay and so on. So hopefully, message me. You can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, and now even on TikTok, even though I have no idea what I'm doing. So, all right. I was thinking that we could jump straight into I will be today. I was thinking I could do, at least on one side, do a pointy ear and show you guys how I do it. Wish me luck. Hopefully it'll be fun, and maybe we'll all even learn something from this experience. I'm going to try to change my camera now. Hold on. Yay! That worked. All right. Okay. So here's my head. I don't remember this baby's name. It's a Joseph, apparently. Can you guys see everything all right? Do you need more light? I think I can. I think maybe this will be better. Also, for the sake of being able to see things better, I was thinking of using this gray clay. Right? It's called Costly Sculpt, and this one is extra firm, which is something I like working with because my hands, I use my hands a lot when I'm sculpting, and clay can overheat and become really mushy, which makes it very difficult to work with it. Right. I missed that there was a comment, I believe, just now about Marie. No? Okay. Alrighty. All right. So what I see a lot, and I mean, each to their own, but when I make pointy ears, I kind of like to make them so that they look like, like it's a normal ear, but it's longer, like an elf ear. Problem here is we've already got this arch here. And what I see a lot is people taking clay and sculpting over this part, right? But there's two problems with that for me personally. Is one is that it doesn't look the way that I would like it to look. That's one. And second, if you just go and sculpt on top of this ear, it's going to end up being really thick. Again, sometimes in some cases, it can be what you want to do. But most of the time, if I'm doing an elf, I want it to have pretty dainty ears that don't have any of this stuff around. So what I do, please don't hate me, is I cut it off. And now, because we talked a little bit about hiding the seams, if you just cut it off, right, you could cut it off just like this. But that doesn't leave a lot of area for you to attach your clay to, because clay, obviously, we have to have something to attach it to. So what I will usually do is I will cut away this corner here for one, right? Secondly, I will cut away as much as I can carefully with my knife this bit here. Now this bit isn't actually in the way when we're sculpting the ear. However, if you do remove it, and here's you're going to have your new clay, right? You can then take your clay and wrap it around and hide your seam in there so that it looks basically like it's always been that way. So this is actually, if you can see it, this is actually clay and not vinyl. Underneath it and around it, you've got vinyl, but this all of this is clay, and that's why it looks like such. On the other side, you don't have that option. You can't really take it inside. So I try to find the smallest point here, right? And maybe do some sort of not vertical, but some sort of transition to better hide the transition between clay and vinyl in the creases somehow. If it's possible, now depending on the shape of the ear, I will also shave off some from the behind of the ear and then hide this transition in the crease there. So you see, this is vinyl and this is clay, and they meet right in the crease where nobody will see any of it. So that's the plan. That's what we hopefully are going to be doing. Now remember, using your knife, be very careful. It's good if they're sharp, but then they're sharp and, you know, accidents do happen. All right, I'm gonna try to hold this so that everyone can see what I'm doing. Now with this head, unfortunately, there's not much going on the top of it, but we will rub the clay around the back of it to give it enough space to basically have a grip on the vinyl. So yeah, we just try and also, yeah, I know that I'm holding the knife in the most terrible way. Don't do what I do, do what I say and hold it in a better, safer way. But you see, I'm literally just cutting it off. And I'm cutting it off to the crease. So I start inside of the crease there and I just shave it off. This way, maybe I'll take it all the way over here because you see there's a little crease over here. So I will just take this entire portion off and do a neat, nice, clean cut and remove that. And you know, take off anything that is in the way, really, that we don't want to have there. Because let's be honest, if you were going to modify these ears, right, you're already modifying. It doesn't matter if you have this vinyl underneath or not. They're never going to look the same. So you might as well commit to it and do a good, proper job of it. So I know how scary it can be, cutting off pieces of vinyl and worrying about ruining it and so on. But in the long run, this is going to give you a much neater result than just trying to sculpt on top of it and try to hide all of that stuff that you don't want to be seen there. Are you guys scared yet? Right. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect because we will be covering it all with clay. And that's another thing. If if anything goes wrong, you say you sort of ruin something or whatever, as long as you have enough clay, you can fix it. So like, and that's also the reason why I try to go for the cheaper kits, because it removes this fear of ruining. Like, I'm not as worried about ruining a $30 kit as I would be, for example, my Delilah that has been sitting there for a year. I'm terrified of even starting that girl. I mean, imagine I ruined that one, right? Okay, so now that looks something like that. Hopefully you can see I've shaved off all this cartilage. I left the middle part untouched. I haven't done much at the back, but the back, I mean, as it is, it's pretty thin already. So I don't actually think we need to do much to that. We could Now, again, you don't want to cut the entire ear off because that won't leave you with much unless you want to resculpt the whole ear. But that won't leave you with much to attach your clay to. But shaving it down is usually a good idea because that way, so the clay also has a thickness, right? So the more you shave down, in a way, the more clay you can put on, the better it's going to hold in the long run. But everything is a trade-off in the end. Excuse me, I'm still, unfortunately, I'm having a bit of a cold here. Right, next step would be sanding paper. I use pretty rough sanding paper for this bit because what you want to do, right, the vinyl, it is really, really smooth. Even after you have taken your craft knife to it, there's not a lot tooth to it. It's really, really smooth. So, and that is not good for you if you want to, for things to adhere. So I will usually cut off a small piece of sanding paper and just go at it. The idea here is to make it scruffy. Sometimes when I don't have, do you see it's already kind of, it's not as smooth anymore, which is a good thing. When I don't have, or like a sandpaper that is aggressive enough, I will take my craft knife and just score the vinyl. Because since we will be covering this in any case, right, it doesn't matter what it looks like. Once again, once you start this process, there is no going back, so might as well commit. Okay, I think I'm fairly happy. Now, normally I would be using a costly doll clay, obviously, to try and sort of match the skin tone of the baby. But now for the sake of you guys being able to see what I'm doing, I'm actually going with the gray. And it needs to be, I didn't actually have the time to condition it. What that means is that you have to warm the clay up. Right now it's kind of crumbly. And we don't want that. We want it to be soft and elastic. No cracks or anything. So all you have to do is for a little while just work it in your hand. Now, I know that a lot of people with polymer clay will use pasta machines and stuff like that, which it's brilliant, I'm sure. But when you're modifying a tiny ear, you really don't need it. I mean, this is probably more clay than I'm going to end up using on this ear in any case. So, right. I think we're about there. If you do, what kind of clay you get, whether you get firm or soft, really depends on how warm it gets where you are, how warm your hands are, how much you use them. If you mostly use your sculpting tools, you're likely going to be fine with soft. If you are really warm, live in a hot place, I would recommend something firmer. Ideally, I try to keep different types of clay at hand because, they're good for different things. For example, now the first layer here, I wanted to adhere well. And the firm clay isn't always that great at grabbing onto the vinyl. So what I usually will do is I will coat this these bits with a much softer clay. My recent favorite is this mix that I did, which is basically it is, I think it's cosplay doll soft mixed with liquid cosplay. So it's like it's even softer than your usual cosplay. And I use a really, really thin layer of it. And I mean like barely even a layer. And I kind of coat, because if you put too much on, your firm clay is going to be sliding around. What you want is a really, 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 you kind of put it on and then scrape it off. But what happens is it gets into those nooks and crannies that we have made with the sandpaper on the vinyl. And it will actually help your firmer clay adhere to the vinyl. So I just smear a really, really thin layer of it on. And then I take my normal clay that I'm working with. If you guys have any questions, I try to pay attention to the comments. So feel free to ask. I'll do my best. Right. After that, it's really just trying to get this clay I'm working with to adhere to the vinyl. And you can often kind of see if it's working or not, because when the vinyl is too smooth and it's got no tooth, as you're trying to spread your clay around like this, it will kind of just roll off. You do not want that. You want it to actually stick enough for you to be able to spread it like this. And at this point, I'm not too worried about how it's looking. I'm just trying to make sure I cover the entire area that I have sanded. Right. There we go. In here as well. Can you guys see this all right? Okay. Thank you very much. All right. So now I kind of have a semi-even coat and it seems to be adhering just fine. And I haven't done anything on the back of it. Right. So I literally just try to cover it slightly. At this point, I can start shaping the actual ear. So I would say I wanted to go probably something like that, right? So what you can do is you can make a rough shape, fairly thin, right? And try to see how that's looking. Something like that, perhaps. And then we just try to, again, at this point, I'm not worrying too much about how it's looking. I'm just trying to make sure that it is adhering properly. So I try to sort of get it flush with the ear. Now this is the point where the extra firm clay actually works much better for me, because if this had been soft clay, it would have been mush by now. Like, it would not hold its shape like this. I know that there are some people that do wonderful work with it, but I am not one of those people. So also see in the back, you want to sort of just get it to stretch over the vinyl, and you want it to be flush, depending on where you want to have your seam, because this kit it had a really subtle seam just behind this part, and I think I might stick with that. Like, there's no need to take the seam all the way into to take the clay all the way into that seam if it looks fine with less. Something like that. Maybe add a little bit more clay. Once again, make it flush. And in that way, this clay is actually fairly nice to work with. I've had my moments with it, but it blends really nice. Clay on clay, that is, not clay on vinyl. Can't really do that. But adding, especially, I usually keep it in my hand, which is also why the extra soft clay overheats. But with the firm one, I keep it in my hand, so it kind of stays nice and elastic throughout the entire process. And yeah, if it does, when it does overheat, especially in the summers, I sometimes will pop the head into the fridge for a bit, let it cool down. But generally speaking, once you're finished with your mods, you want to either put them in a bag and very carefully leave it there, or cure them straight away, because clay kind of dries out. It's weird. It's not supposed to. I mean, it's polymer clay. There's no water in there, but something happens to it to where it can start cracking a little bit if you just leave it on your table like this. Plus, I mean, it can also gather a bunch of dust and stuff. Right, maybe a little bit more stuff here. And keeping in mind we want a certain shape. How's that? It's a little bit strange. That's also the nice thing, though. Like, you have a plan, you start working on that plan. At one point, you realize that you are not in love with it. You can always change it. So, like, you don't have to commit 100% to something. It's always a work in progress. How is that? That's all right, eh? As far as pointy ears go. And we smooth it out. At this point, not too much again. I wouldn't worry too much. It needs to be relatively smooth, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And I mean, there are a bunch of different tools that you can, when possible, I like to use my fingers, but there are these silicone sculpting tools that can be quite good. Some people will use brushes, especially brushes with brushes with a bit of baby oil or rubbing alcohol, but that will come later, at least when I'm doing this. Right at this point, I don't worry too much about that. Now I will make the new cartilage. And it's just a rough, little sausage thingy, and I will see how it's looking and just sort of attach it to where our clay is, right? And that looks reasonably good. So I will once again just try to make it flush with the vinyl. And I mean, if you look at this, if you're looking from the side, depending on where you place the crease, you may or may not be able to see a small crease. But if you cut the cartilage off fairly flush with the head, you actually won't be able to see any crease. And from the side, you definitely won't be able to see a crease, right? So it's quite nicely hidden in all the natural creases that the kid has. And I like that. I like figuring out ways to make things appear seamless when they're actually not. And also I really like this little spoon tool that I have. I mean, people prefer different tools, but I've got to say that's probably the one I use 90% of the time for everything. The clay is still quite soft, which makes it quite nice to just, like, you don't have to apply a lot of pressure. It kind of just blends in together nicely. And you must, even though there's a crease here, you kind of need to make sure that you follow up and make sure that everything is adhering and it's not just lying on top of the ear. Right. Righto. See, there's still a little bit of a crease there, but we will blend that in. And then it'll look great. Okay. That looks better. I wish they could make tools that basically work like your fingers. There is nothing like your fingers, but for smoothing things out, oh my god, they're so good. All right, and then basically the last thing is this other piece of cartilage there, because we kept most of the ear, so it has its nice shape. And now we just repair this bit. And the only crease that is really going to be seen because of how we did this, and hopefully that is going to be minimal as well, but it's this bit. But that can be, if you're using heat set, you can use a thick medium, right, to kind of hide that tiny little crease that we will be creating there. Thank you so much, Nana's Reborn. Right, so if you're in US, Cosplay actually has its own website. And You can just order from them. I know that a lot of craft stores carry it as well. I don't know which ones in US. In if you're outside of US, there is actually a list of distributors on Cosplay website. So you can just find the country that you live in, and there will be links for authorized distributors. Okay, so I'm doing the exact same thing on this side as well. I'm making sure that everything is adhering. Blending the clay together. And we're almost done. Right, I'm using Cosplay. This one is Cosplay Sculpt Gray, extra firm. Normally, I would use one from the Doll series because it's the same clay, but it's, you know, it is skin toned. They have them in slightly different colors. And I tend to have some firm, some soft for, different purposes. I would assume, I don't know this, I've never actually tried their medium, but I would assume that it should be a fairly good all-purpose clay. Okay. It's not perfect, but this is a demo, and I think everyone gets the basic idea of this. Right. We check our creases. At this point, it's a little more focused on making sure that everything is smooth. Right, we try to blend the clay into the crease that we decided we were going to hide our transition in. It still doesn't have to be perfect at this point. In fact, you have plenty of opportunities to make your clay smoother even after it's been cured. So there's no panicking, but at this point I just try to, if possible, use my fingers. It's my pleasure. Perhaps a different sculpting tool to fix this up, but doesn't have to be perfect. This is a demo. Last step would be to smooth it out even further. Like I said, some people will use rubbing alcohol. I prefer actually baby oil because it doesn't give me a headache. And I will just put a little bit on my hand and take a relatively firm painting brush or my finger if it's a bigger modification and my fingers actually can get into the nooks and crannies, or the silicone tool, and smooth it out. Now, if you're going to do this, do not overdo the oil because it will sort of mix with the clay a little bit, and if you put too much on, the clay will become really, really soft and sort of mushy. You do not want that. You just want to use it to smooth out the the clay. You do not, when you're using the paintbrush, you do not have to apply much force at all. And same with the like if I'm using my fingers, I just glide it over. I don't actually press. You just want it to be smooth. You don't want to actually reshape it or press it down. And we check our creases. We make sure that the clay meets the vinyl where the natural crease would be, and that it's all looking nice and neat. Right. Check for any issues. Maybe position the ear a little bit at this point if you want it to be a bit floppier, so it's cuter. And that's basically it. That is a year, a done ear. Obviously, after this, we would be baking it at this thickness and size and whatnot. It would be your half an hour in the oven. But afterwards, if need be, you can still smooth it out a little bit further with acetone. That is 100% acetone, not your, normal nail polish remover. But yeah, that's it. That's this is how I make ears. I hope you guys enjoyed this little presentation. If you have any questions, I'm assuming we're still here for a moment or two. Otherwise, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Espectacular.
That was
Amazing.
Thank you so much for having me.
Amazing. Thank you por compartir tu
Thank you.
conocimiento.
Yes,
y
thank you very much
las-
for sharing all your knowledge with us. We appreciate it very much.
Sí,
Thank
por
you for
favor,
having me. It's my pleasure, really.
ahorita es la sección de preguntas y respuestas, así es que hagan sus preguntas, si tienen alguna duda, quieren saber más, pero van a aprender muchísimo porque son dos autistas demasiado talentosas en la clase.
Yes, now it's your chance to ask all your questions to them, because now they are ready to answer all your questions, and I'm sure that you will learn a lot in this class. I'm pretty sure of it. Yes. Okay, let's see which one has some questions. All right.
Y también les queremos ofrecer para que se metan a las clases, vamos a estar ofreciendo un kit de vinil en blanco para que lo sortee Anastasia en su clase. Es
¿El de nosotros?
el de nosotros.
Wow.
Entonces, el nuevo kit que va a salir.
Okay. So Lorraine is saying that we are offering one of our kits, and vinyl kit, to her class. Okay. And she's
Aw.
doing a raffle to all her students. Okay.
That's right.
So please
Very-
join her class, and maybe you are the winner of this beautiful kit of us. Great.
That is very exciting. I haven't actually
Lo
ever
dejamos para
owned a
que-
kit of
Ay,
yours,
mosquito.
so
Perdón.
I'm quite excited to work
Que
with it.
vaya contestando las preguntas. Yo aquí las voy a ir poniendo y ahorita
Okay.
que Anastasia las lea y las conteste, por favor.
Okay, we'll leave you with Anastasia. So ask your questions now, comment here, and she's going to answer all of your questions. We'll leave you with Anastasia. Give it a big applause.
Thank you so much, guys. And thank you for all the compliments. You guys, the community in general has been absolutely amazing, and very supportive. And I'm very happy to be able to be here and share this stuff with you, because this is something I'm really passionate about. Thank you so much. Like I said, if you guys are interested in taking the class, I do have a nursery on only reborns, and that is where I'm selling the tickets, or the, where you can sign up. Basically, you can choose to pay it in a down payment. Sorry, I don't speak Spanish. Could anyone help out?
Ok, sorry. Dice, ¿qué es lo que incluye la clase? In your class, you are include, I don't know, the
Right,
kit
what
or
is
the
included?
material. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so initially I was offering kits with the class, but decided to drop the price rather, so people can bring their own kit, and I will be bringing all the supplies. If you need help arranging a kit, that can be done. I can do a group order and have it delivered to the venue. So that's not an issue really. It's just going to be an extra, $20, $30 or whatever from Bountiful Baby.
Okay, perfect. Yes,
But yeah, you just have to, if you can't bring anything, you just have to come and we will sort you out.
Ok, perfecto. Pues sí, nena, Reborns incluye los materiales. Si tú quieres llevar tu kit, puedes llevar tu kit, puedes coger y comprar uno en Bountiful Baby. And another question. Your demonstration was incredible. Yeah, amazing.
You're too kind. Thank you
Yeah,
so
you
much.
are so talented.
Thank you so much. It really means a lot coming from you.
And I can't wait to meet you in person.
Yeah, I am so excited. There are so many amazing artists coming to the show. Some that
Yeah.
I have been looking up to for quite a while, and oh my god, I'm almost I'm not regretting that I'm doing the class, but I wish that I could take other classes.
Yeah. Me too.
You have some really, really cool classes coming.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think we could probably round it up. I don't see a lot of questions coming. If anyone wants to find out more, I'm always on Facebook. Ask my husband.
Anastasia Ball, no?
Yes,
Is your Facebook. Yeah.
that's right.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. And see you later.
Thank you guys for having me.
See you soon.
All right. Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Pues estuvo genial la presentación. See you tomorrow in another demonstration. Va a estar Paqui Galán. Demonstration tomorrow, micro routing. And see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.